Good afternoon. This is our special coverage on Typhoon Ulysses. I'm Ed Lingao. Several areas in Luzon are still dealing with floods and the threat of landslides due to Typhoon Ulysses. And to give us the latest, Pag-asa forecaster Ariel Rojas is joining us on the line. Sir, good afternoon po. Kamusta po? What's the latest?
Good afternoon, Ed. As of 1 p.m., the eye of Typhoon Ulysses is already over the West Philippine Sea. Actually, it exited the Luzon landmass at 8 a.m. This morning. It was last spotted 140 kilometers west of Iba, Zambales. It continues to pack winds of up to 130 kilometers per hour near the center and with gusts reaching up to 160 kilometers per hour. It is now moving westward at a much faster speed of 35 kilometers per hour. We have lowered down the signal warnings for some areas. Now, the highest is signal number 2 over the western portion of Batangas, in Zambales, Bataan, Tarlac, Pampanga, the southwestern portion of Bulacan, here in Metro Manila, Cavite, the southwestern portion of Batangas, and the northwestern portion of Occidental Mindoro, including Lubang Islands. These areas will still experience winds from 61 to 120 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, signal number 1 is still raised over the southern portion of Ilocos Sur, in La Union, the rest of Pangasinan, the southwestern portion of Abra, the western portion of Mountain Province, the western portion of Ifugao, in Benguet, Nueva Vizcaya, the southern portion of Aurora, Nueva Ecija, the rest of Bulacan, the northern and western portions of Quezon, in Rizal, Laguna, the rest of Batangas, the northwestern portion of Oriental Mindoro, and the rest of northern portion of Occidental Mindoro. These areas will still have winds from 30 up to 60 kilometers per hour. Ulysses is expected to slightly intensify as it still traverses over the West Philippine Sea away from the Philippine landmass. It may exit the Philippine area of responsibility tomorrow morning. Until tonight, we will still have moderate to heavy rains over Cordillera, the eastern portions of Cagayan and Isabela, Zambales, Bataan, Aurora, Cavite, the western portion of Batangas and Occidental Mindoro, including Lubang Islands. While over here in Metro Manila, the rest of Luzon, in western Visayas and in Samar provinces, we will experience light to moderate with at times heavy rains. So there are still threats of widespread flash floods, wind-induced landslides, and in the case of Zambales, again, the possibility of lahar flow. And again, our regional officers continue to monitor our heavy rainfall, so we still issue 3-hourly heavy rainfall warnings or rainfall advisory. And the storm surge warning is still in effect over the coastal areas of Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, and Metro Manila, where a minimal to moderate risk of storm surge height up to 1 meters may still be experienced. Ed?
So, sir, we still will feel the effects of the typhoon, pero the weather is expected to be improving as we go down the afternoon.
Yes, that is correct. Because of the wide coverage of the clouds of Ulysses, even though the center of the typhoon is already over the sea, we still feel the effects of the scattered rains and the gusty winds.
Sir, as far as storm surges are concerned, we're only worried na lang at this point about the western coast of Luzon.
Yes po, that is correct. Just up to 1 meters over Pangasinan up to Metro Manila.
Do we still expect rains by tomorrow, sir? Or by that time, wala na po?
Over most of the western section of Luzon, probably Zambales and Bataan, they may still have some scattered rains. Over in Metro Manila, we may have more cloudy skies and then some isolated rain showers. And baka pasilip-silip na rin po yung araw tomorrow dito sa Metro Manila. But mostly cloudy weather will prevail.
Okay. Sir, are we still expecting more typhoons this year? Kasi maubusan na tayo ng alpabeto.
Yes po, we still have around 2 to 3 tropical cyclones for the month of December. For November, we already met the quota of the forecast we made, which is 1 to 3 tropical cyclones. It's only the 12th day of November. In the next few days, at least, we're not seeing any other weather disturbances that may form or enter the PAR, but it's too early to call it that there won't be any other tropical cyclones for the month of November. So at least 3 more may enter the PAR, but again, we still have to continue to be prepared because of what happened the past several tropical cyclones which affected us. So we still need to be to be on the safe side.
Yeah, I guess, sir, at this point, we're hoping for some sunshine for the next few weeks kasi medyo saturated na yung lupa natin ngayon eh.
That is correct po. This is also one of the reasons as well why yung mga kabundukan po ng Sierra Madre, they were not able to absorb as much rainfall because the past several weeks, 3 weeks or maybe more, the tropical cyclones Quinta, Rolly, Tonyo, Ulysses, have actually rained lots of rains over the large part of southern Luzon. So the soil is already very saturated, and most of the rainfall just ran off to the rivers, and that's why we had this massive flooding in some parts in central Luzon and even here in Metro Manila.
Yes, sir. And we noticed nga, yung Marikina, mukhang ngayon pala tinatamaan ng lumalalim na baha. And I suppose that's water coming from the Rizal province area.
Yes po, from the mountains, we suppose, sir, because we don't have a Pag-asa station on top of the Sierra Madre Mountains, but we are supposing, sir, that most of the rains may have been dumped over the Sierra Madre and they just come down, downstream, and that's been collected in the Marikina River basin.
Mm-hmm. Sir, do we expect, well, I don't know if you can still answer this, but do we expect the flooding in Marikina to get worse in the next few hours, or mukha ho bang mukhang this is the peak of it already?
At the moment po, we are not observing any more, strong or heavy rainfall over the eastern side of Rizal and Quezon. So maybe in the next few hours, we may observe, a gradual, subsidence in the level of the floodwaters in Marikina.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Thank you for the update, Ariel Rojas, Pag-asa weather forecaster. Sir, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Classes and government work are still suspended in several areas across Luzon due to the impact of Typhoon Ulysses. There are no classes in all levels, public and private, in Manila, Caloocan, Las Piñas, and Parañaque. The same goes for San Juan, Mandaluyong, Cavite Province, and Camarines Sur. The Office of the President also announced that government work and the classes in public schools are canceled today in the following regions: the NCR, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, and the Cordilleras. The flood alert has been raised in several areas in Manila, but some residents still refuse to evacuate their homes. And joining us live from Manila is Dale De Vera. Dale, what's the latest there? Yeah, well, I suppose we need to bring Dale back in a while kasi medyo may problema sa audio. I think nasa pawad pa siya ng wangwang. Okay, we'll bring Dale back in a while. See, Dale, by the way, is standing there by the Bay Walk, right across Manila Bay, to give us an update on what's happening in Manila. We'll try to get back to Dale in a few minutes while he tries to fix his audio. You want to try again? Okay, we'll try again in a little bit. Now, residents in low-lying areas near water dams near dams are warned of possible flooding. At 2 a.m., officials carried out spilling operations at Ipo Dam, discharging over 600 cubic meters per second, while La Mesa Dam remains on red alert as the water level as of 2 a.m. reached almost 80 meters. Houses near Angat Dam have been submerged in floodwaters following a spilling operation at 10 a.m. today. Now, some residents were not able to evacuate immediately due to the harsh weather. All households near the Bustos Bridge in Angat Dam continue to experience power outage as of this moment. Okay, we will just pause for a break, so please stay with us.
Gusto mo i-expect ko na lang yan. I-expect ko na lang. Hawakan ko na lang. Mahaba ba ito?
You're still watching our special coverage on Typhoon Ulysses. I'm Ed Lingao. The flood alert has been raised in several areas in Manila, but some residents still refuse to evacuate their homes. And joining us on the line from Manila is Dale De Vera. Dale.
Yes, Ed, doon sa pinuntahan natin sa Rosario Elementary School kanina, medyo puno na yung evacuation center. Umabot na mula doon sa covered court, meron na rin mga evacuees na naka-stay o nakatambay doon sa corridors noong school. Kumbaga sa pinakahuling bilang ng Manila LGU, may nasa 1,065 na pamilya yung inilika simula kahapon sa mga evacuation centers sa Rosario Elementary School, sa Baseco Compound at sa Smoky Mountain. Naging problema lang daw kagabi dahil late na nung nag-evacuate yung mga taga-Isla Puting Bato. Kumbaga kahapon kasi ang gusto ng Manila Disaster Risk Reduction Office mag preemptive evacuation na at yung iba nga doon sa Isla Puting Bato i-forced evacuation na, pero ayaw pa rin umalis dahil ayaw iwan yung mga gamit. Kanina naman, pagdating natin yung Manila health workers natin at social workers natin, sinasabi nila na mayroong mga pamilya na pumupunta lang sa evacuation center para kumuha ng family card o yung mga pagkain na iniiwan naman yung mga bata. Ito yung sa kalagitnaan pa nung malalakas na hangin at saka yung may mga bagyo. Yung mga bahay sa Isla Puting Bato naka-anchor lang o nakatayo sa ibabaw ng tubig. Kaya yun yung mga naging problema nila doon sa Isla Puting Bato. Pagdating naman dito sa Rojas Boulevard kaninang umaga, nung dumaan tayo, medyo marami pa rin yung basura. Hanggang ngayon, may mga basura pa rin dito sa kahabaan ng Rojas Boulevard. At marami na rin yung mga tao nagpupunta dito para mag-picture dito sa may Baywalk. Pero yun nga, yung part na may white beach or yung Dolomite sand, medyo sarado siya sa tao ngayon. Ed?
Okay, Dale, sorry, balikan ko lang. Yung Isla Puting Bato, of course, is a very congested area kung saan yung mga bahay-bahay dikit-dikit at medyo precarious yung kanilang kinalalagyan. Kamusta ngayon doon? Binaba ba sila ngayon doon? May tao pa ba doon? O how's it there?
Sa nabanggit kanina ng Manila social workers, may mga ilan pang naiwan doon, yung mga nandito na lang sa Bukana dahil nga nandoon sa bandang dulo ng Isla Puting Bato, i-forced evacuate na nila dahil nga medyo malakas yung alon kagabi, medyo malakas din yung hangin. Although ngayon, kalmado naman na yung Manila Bay, at pero hindi pa rin sila pinapabalik, wala pang pinapayagan unless sabihin ng authorities na pwede na kalmado na at pwede nang bumalik yung mga pamilya. Although kanina nung mga bandang tanghali, naririnig natin may nagpupumilit na babalik na sila sa kanilang bahay. Pero hindi pa rin sila pinayagan.
Pero mangilan-ngilan na lang yung tao doon sa Isla Puting Bato at this point. Kaunti na lang.
Yes, kaunti na lang. Kaunti na lang kasi yun nga, medyo puno na rin yung evacuation center. Yung sa Rosario Elementary School kasi naka-allot doon, yung spaces doon para sa mga residents talaga ng Isla Puting Bato.
Kamusta naman yung Manila Bay area, yung the one fronting, for example, Ross Boulevard?
Actually, nandito tayo ngayon, nakikita natin medyo maraming tao dito. May mga nagpipicture-picture. Kanina nga may nakita pa tayo na may dalang fishing rod na parang balak pang mangisda dito sa Rojas Boulevard. Although dito may mga makikita tayo, medyo maraming insekto, tapos may mga basura pa rin na nakakalat kahit na cleaning operations na simula kanina umaga. Although wala na rin namang baka doon sa nadaanan nating part ng Rojas Boulevard.
Well, right now we're broadcasting pictures of I think yung white sand sa Manila Bay area. Can you give us a briefer on what it looks like right now?
Yung ngayon kasi medyo may part na medyo may konting itim at saka may mga basura. So ngayon,
I-out yung lower thirds, mali yan. I-out yung lower thirds, mali yan eh.
Hindi siya ganun kalinis pa. Ayun nga, yung sa footbridge na usually pinupuntahan ng mga tao para mag-picture doon sa white sand, sinara muna sa public. Ed?
Okay, maraming salamat. Dale Rivera reporting live from Manila. We will be back with more stories after the break, so keep it here on One News. President Duterte assured the public that the situation in the country is under control. This as Typhoon Ulysses continues to battered several provinces across Luzon, destroying homes and leaving several families trapped in the roofs of their homes, still waiting for rescuers. To tell us more, Shyla Francisco joins us live from Taguig City. Shyla.
Bok, in his brief speech earlier today, President Duterte contradicted the claims and criticisms of some sectors that the government is not doing anything and is sleeping during the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses. President Duterte insisted that the government officials have not slept yet. In fact, he wanted to personally visit the people and, in his own words, swim with them, but the Presidential Security Group and the doctors didn't allow him because of security concerns of him being the country's top official. He said that there is a vice president to handle the situation if something happens to him, but the doctors still didn't allow him. Despite this, President Duterte assured the public that the government is on top of the situation and that since they received the advisory, all government agencies have been mobilized already and all cabinet secretaries were given instructions already. In fact, they have new vessels and helicopters that they can use if the weather permits. At the same time, he also called on the local government units to prioritize the well-being of the people, and as for them, they will provide financial aid, shelter, and counseling to those affected by the disaster. Now, he gave the speech just after he attended the ASEAN summit earlier this morning, and during his speech he talked about several typhoons that battered the Philippines over the weeks and the need to address climate change. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said that after his speech, he sought permission to leave the ASEAN summit to focus on the situation here and to supervise the government response. Bok?
Shyla, did the President give any updates on the deployment of rescue teams to those affected areas?
Bok, during his speech, he didn't give any updates regarding that. But when DILG Secretary Eduardo Año was asked earlier during the Laging Handa briefing, he says that they have deployed personnel and vessels in certain areas. Among the priorities include Marikina, Montalban, San Mateo, and Cainta. Bok?
That was Shyla Francisco reporting live from Taguig City. Let's head over to Malabon City to get the latest from Marlene Alcaide. She's on the line. Marlene, what do we have so far from Malabon?
Sa ngayon, Ed, nandito pa rin tayo sa Barangay Potrero sa Malabon. May baha pa rin dito, pero tumigil na yung ulan at unti-unti nang umaaraw. Madaling araw kanina ay nagsimula yung rescue operation dito. May mga sumama na kanina sa rescue team. Karamihan ay yung may mga kasamang bata. At isa sa mga residenteng na rescue ay yung 7 na buwang buntis na naabutan natin sa evacuation center na isinusugod na sa ospital kanina dahil mga nganak na. Sa evacuation niya na naramdaman na humilab ang kanyang tiyan at bandang alas 10 na umaga nang pakiramdam daw niya ay mga nganak na siya. Agad naman siyang nadala sa ospital at doon na siya dinala sa mga oras na to. Sa kabuuan dito sa Malabon, merong 206 families o nasa 827 individuals ang nailikas. May mga pagkain namang ibinibigay sa kanila sa mga evacuation center. Pero kung may mga sumama sa evacuation center, marami pa rin sa mga residente rito ang piniling maiwan sa kanilang mga bahay. Kahit kasi paikot-ikot, nakikita natin kanina yung mga rescuers dito sa May Potrero ay hindi sila lumilikas kahit pa hanggang dibdib umabot yung baha dito kanina. Katwira nila, mataas yung kanilang bahay o di kaya naman ay takot baka mahawa ng COVID sa mga evacuation center. Pero kumpiyansa rin sila na bababa anumang oras ngayon yung tubig dito. Samantala, dito naman sa May River ay nadadaanan na sa mga oras na ito yung kalsada. Ito yung boundary ng Malabon papuntang Valenzuela. Kaninang umaga kasi ay lahat ng sasakyan dito napatigil kahit na yung medyo malalaking sasakyan dahil hanggang bewang inabot yung tubig. Pero sa mga oras na ito ay nadadaanan na ito. Ed?
Well, Marlene, yung Malabon kasi parating binabahayan kahit walang bagyo o kahit walang ulan kasi minsan kahit high tide binabahayan I'm wondering lang, is the flooding getting worse or better kahit nakaalis na yung bagyo?
Actually, sa mga oras na to, Ed, ay bumababa na yung tubig dito. Kaya yung mga ilang residente ay nagbabalikan na rin. Yung ilan sa mga residente dito sa bungad nitong potrero ay nagbabalikan na yung mga residente at naglilinis na sila ng kanilang mga bahay. Yung ibang kalsada na kaninang hindi madaanan ay nadadaanan na ngayon. Kaya patuloy na bumababa na yung tubig dito.
Okay, maraming salamat. Marlene Alcalde reporting live from Malabon City. Many residents in Metro Manila, Calabarzon, and Central Luzon are still stranded in their homes because of the heavy rain brought by Typhoon Ulysses. And to give us updates on the effects of the typhoon, we have on the line NDRRMC spokesman Mark Timbal. Mr. Mark, good afternoon and thank you for joining us.
Sir Ed, magandang hapon po sa lahat po ng mga kasamahan kababayan natin na nanonood.
Yes, sir.
Nakikinig. Magandang hapon po sa lahat.
Sir, ano po latest ng NDRRMC? Ilan po yung apektado?
So far po sir, ang ating counting po ng mga affected communities ay continuing. Ngayong hapon po, iniulat ko sa inyo na magsisimula po magsagawa ng aerial inspection para po doon sa mga affected communities. Nagpulong po kanina tayo dito sa NDRRMC at handa na po tayo ng dagdag pang mga rescue teams na i-deploy po liban pa doon sa una ng mga na-deploy kaninang madaling araw para tulungan yung mga LGUs. Ang ating pong instructions na natanggap para doon sa mga kasamahan nating rescuers from the armed forces, from the police, from the Coast Guard, and the Bureau of Fire Protection is mag-report directly doon sa mga mayors po ng mga affected communities, affected municipalities, para ma-direct po sila doon sa mga area na kung saan pa kailangan ng additional support. Ito pong gagawin nating pag-distribute pa ng panibago or pag-deploy po ng panibagong teams ay hindi po ibig sabihin iti-take over natin yung operation sa ground. Sinusuportahan lang po natin yung mga LGUs sa ongoing operation, Sir Ed.
Sir, but at this point po, do we have any reports on casualties?
Sir, meron na po kaming mga natatanggap na ulat patungkol po sa mga nadisgrasya nating kababayan, pero unofficial pa po ito at for verification. Baka po mamayang hapon ay makatanggap na po tayo ng mga verified items po ng mga kababayan natin naging casualties para sa bagyong ito. At we're still consolidating the reports po nitong mga regional disaster councils natin.
Yes, sir. Sir, do we know already what provinces were the worst hit? Ano yung pinakagrabing tinamaan?
So far, sir, when it comes to the impact, medyo nadali na naman muli itong Region 5 dahil hindi pa po sila nakakabangon from the Super Typhoon Rolly effect. Ito na naman po yung bagyo.
We're talking about Bicol, sir, no? Bicol.
That's correct, sir, in Region 5, Bicol Region. Tapos po dito po sa Rizal Province po, meron po tayong mga flooded areas din yan. And also here in the National Capital Region. Yung Regional Disaster Council for Central Luzon naman is reporting that the situation is manageable on their end kahit po tuloy yung paglabas ng tubig mula sa mga dams natin, but this is being closely monitored by our disaster managers para po masigurado na walang madidisgrasya sa mga kababayan natin.
Yes, sir. Sir, of course, yung primary concern ngayon ng mga tao, kasi palabas na naman yung bagyo pero siyempre, ang concern ng mga tao ngayon is yung effect ng pagre-release ng tubig ng mga dams. And
correct,
we do understand
That's
that you need to relieve the pressure on the dams kasi it will be worse if they overflow or if they break. Pero
That's
downstream
correct,
po, how does it look downstream? Are the communities well prepared for whatever is done with the dams?
That's correct, sir. Prior to the actual release of in the spillways of the dam management authorities have already communicated the items, the warning to the local government units. But previously, the local government units have already conducted preemptive evacuation in the downstream areas. So we're hoping po na nakapag-alisa na ito mga kababayan natin at wala pong magugulat dyan na mayroong pagtaas ng tubig downstream. We're also coordinating with the dam authorities kung regular na po ba itong paglalabas ng tubig or aantayin po nila na makontrol yung tubig tapos titigil po muna sila. But some dams po kasi may automatic spill. Kapag lumagpas po dun sa mismong height talaga na allowable, nag-spill ka agad yung tubig and this is also being monitored.
Yes, sir. Sir, but at this point, do we expect the floodwaters downstream from the dams to be going down or going up with the releases?
Actually, sir, nagpalabas po tayo ng warning because what we have been informed by our friends from Pag-asa and the flood forecasting area that because of the waters that had been rainwater that had been poured in the highlands are already going down, proceeding to the lowlands. It is
Opo.
expected that there may be aggravated flooding in the low-lying areas. We're also reiterating this warning to the LGUs. And our teams assisting the LGUs are doing their double-time effort for the evacuation or rescue operations in the ground.
Yes, sir. Sir, last question. I don't know if you have the data with you, but if you do have the data with you, that would be good. Do we know what towns, provinces, or communities are in danger of increased level of floodwaters because of the waters coming down from the mountains
So far,
and from the dams?
sir, ang nakita po namin dito kasi baka ma-aggravate pa yung flooding dyan sa may Marikina as well as in the Rizal areas in
Okay.
Montalban, and Rodriguez, and then San Mateo. Kaya po we are focusing on a number of rescuers in the area para maalis po yung mga kababayan natin dyan. But the complete report po, in progress pa po yan yung ating monitoring.
Okay, San Mateo, Rizal, and Marikina areas. Mag-ingat po kayo dyan. Baka tumaas pa yung tubig dahil pababa pa lamang yung tubig galing sa bundok. Tama po?
Opo.
Okay, maraming salamat po. NDRRMC spokesman Mark
Thank
Timbal,
you,
thank
Sir
you for
Ed.
joining
Good
us.
afternoon po. Ingat po tayong lahat.
Operations of the MRT-3, LRT-1, LRT-2, and PNR have been suspended due to the inclement weather. The Transportation Department announced that railway operations are suspended until further notice. The agency will first conduct system checks before train lines are allowed to resume to normal operations. Let's get more updates on the typhoon from Charles Lejano. He's monitoring the updates on social media via CrowdTangle. Charles.
All right, thanks, Ed. We are monitoring social media via CrowdTangle as well as Twitter. Let's start with Twitter. If you're following hashtag UlyssesPH, you'll see that Pag-asa has issued a yellow rainfall warning over the National Capital Region as of 2 p.m. and that the signal number 2 is still affecting various parts of Luzon. The heavily affected areas, as we know, are Provident Village in Marikina, according to our reporter Manlos Baños, where the flood has exceeded human height. The situation there is improving, but then our rescue workers are still struggling to come up with a way to get to the stranded residents, as lots of them are still stranded on top of their homes. Secondly, from Twitter, we have the NDRRMC saying there's still the red rainfall warning over Occidental Mindoro. We just heard from Mark Timbal. The count is ongoing insofar as the people affected, the number of casualties, and that they will do aerial inspections to make sure that they're able to cover all of the affected areas. The casualty count is coming in later this afternoon. The most heavily affected areas are Region 5, the Bicol region, of course, National Capital Region, and the Rizal area. Residents of Rizal, Marikina, and San Mateo are advised to stay on alert. Now we move on over to CrowdTangle, where we are able to compile everything Ulysses PH. We have the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson saying that the concerned departments are now working to provide relief, rescue, and assistance to those affected by Typhoon Ulysses. We heard from spokesperson Harry Roque earlier this morning before the president had to attend to ASEAN-related matters. I understand he attended that via video conference, but the president has addressed the nation since then. Moving forward now, we have Secretary Mark Villar currently at the Sunog Apog pumping station. This was recently inaugurated. This is intended to prevent flooding in Marikina, in certain parts of Manila and Quezon City. Moving on now to other relevant updates here, we have the Presidential Communications Office referring to the aerial inspections mentioned by Mark Timbal. We have here the Coast Guard Aviation Force deploying several Islander planes to move over the affected areas, particularly Marikina, Rizal, and the Kamanava area. Moving on now to other updates here. Camarines Sur still reeling from Bagyong Rolly. As we can see, the flood here is really bad. And then moving on to Interaction, where we have a report where Ulysses has also triggered a trend of ondoy. And this is not too difficult to understand why, because the affected areas are pretty much the same. And in fact, in terms of actual effect on the Marikina River, Ulysses has in fact surpassed ondoy, hence the recollection of everybody affected. Moving on now, lastly, we have Philippine Star showing us the extent of the damage in the capital region. We have here a photo of the shoreline, Navota City, where an oil tanker was swept onto the shoreline. Moving on now to this phenomenon that we've seen where social media has been used as a hotline. I'd like to direct your attention to #rescue.ph, wherein you just need to send the full name, contact number, and address. If you know anybody who needs rescuing, the hashtag is rescue.ph. Oh, sorry, #rescueph. Back to you, Ed.
Well, Charles, let's repeat that part. I think that's very important. So anybody who needs rescue or anybody who knows people who need rescue, just use the hashtag #RescuePH.
#RescuePH book, and then please indicate your full name, contact number, and address, and somebody will come get you.
Okay, okay. And just to review, so that people are familiar with this platform that we're using now, CrowdTangle, in effect, aggregates social media posts.
Yes, we have Facebook, we have
theme that you
Instagram.
choose.
Wala lang dito, Bok is yung Twitter, so we're monitoring that separately.
Okay, maraming salamat, Charles Lejano.
Thank you.
We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here in One News. You're still watching our special coverage on Typhoon Ulysses. I'm Ed Lingao. Earlier today, Rizal residents posted photos and videos of entire families trapped on the roofs of their homes as the floodwaters quickly submerged parts of the province. And now to give us the latest situation in Rizal, we have Provincial Disaster Officer Dong Malonzo. Mr. Malonzo, good afternoon and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon po, Bok Ed Lingao.
Sir, update po muna. Ano po yung ongoing rescue operations diyan sa inyong probinsya?
Okay, yung ongoing operation po ng ating rescue nagsimula po kagabi pa alas 9 hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Pero dahil nga po sa manipis na yung mga pag-ulan ito nakaraang 4 na oras, may umuupa na po yung malalaking pagbaha dyan sa bayan ng Montalban at San Mateo. Pero nagtala po tayo ng 5,000 families na evacuees dyan sa Montalban at more than 3,000 families naman po sa San Mateo.
Okay, iyan po. So, bale, iyan po ay magmula kagabi. Ngayon po, wala na pong ongoing. Nailikas at na-rescue na hubal lahat ng mga na-trap dun sa Rizal.
May mga mangilan-ngilan pa po tayong tinutulungan sa bilang pagsagip o rescue operation. Kino-coordinate po natin ito sa local DRRMO ng San Mateo at ng Montalban. Dahil nga po yung kagabi, para ma-take note lang po natin, Doc Ed, simula po 10 p.m. hanggang kanina 6 a.m., ang bumagsak po dyan ng rainfall amount ay nasa almost 800 millimeters. So para nag-average po siya na 100 millimeters of rainfall per ora. Kaya po ganoon na lang kalaking tubig ang bumaba dyan po sa kailugan ng Montalban at San Mateo.
Sir, sapat ho ba ang ating mga resources para sa rescue and evacuation ng lahat ng mga apektadong residente?
Yung sa evacuation po, maganda po yung preparation natin. Pero yung po sa rescue operation, kung nga po naging nagkasabay-sabay, pinaprioritize po natin, Sir Ed, yung mga may baby, yung mga may vulnerable nakasama sa bahay, mga PWDs, mga senior citizens. Yung po yung mga pinaprioritize po natin para po mas mauna silang mailikas po talaga.
So ngayon po, bale mostly nakuha na po lahat ng o halos lahat ng kailangan kunin.
Siguro po may mga remaining 2% po siguro na merong San Mateo, merong konti sa Montalban. Yun po yung mga naiiwanan kanina. At meron din po konti pa sa Cainta. Meron din po ron kasi nga po nagkasabay-sabay nga po.
Okay po. Mr. Dong, kung meron pa pong kailangan ng tulong, saan po maaring maabot o saan maaring tumawag o saan maaring magparamdam para kayo ma-reach?
Pwede po sa aming PSWD sa numero 620-2400. Sa amin po PSWD po yun. At para po ina-assess po kasi natin ito buhat kanina madaling araw. Talaga nag-zero in po tayo, Boked, sa San Mateo at Montalban talaga yung ating pinaka-parang ground zero.
Meron pa ho bang ibang lugar na kailangang iwasan sa panahon, lalo ngayon, itong mga susunod na mga oras? Are there any particular places or communities or barangays na dapat hindi puntahan?
Ito po kasi yung sitwasyon natin, Boked. Yung Laguna Lake po natin, lumagpas na po siya ng 12.5 meters. So may siyam na munisipyo po kami na nakadikit po sa lawa ng Laguna. Kaya po yung ating Baytown Road sa Angono ay not possible to light vehicles po yan dahil yung pong lawa nga po may kataasan na po.
Okay.
Yan po yun. At yung sa Morong po natin, yung Tomas Claudio, not possible din po sa light vehicles yun.
Okay, so iwas po tayo dyan. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Dong Malonzo from the Rizal Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. Salamat, sir. Marikina Mayor Marcy Chidoro waded through floodwaters to help in the disaster response efforts in his city this morning. This as the Marikina River continues to swell due to the heavy downpour brought by Typhoon Ulysses. At para po kamusta ang lagay ng lungsod, makakasama natin sa linya ng telepono si Mayor Marcy Chidoro. Mayor Marcy, kamusta po kayo?
Ed, itong araw na to punong-puno ng pagsubok para sa aming mga taga-Marikina. Hindi namin inaasahan na ganito ang pinsala na idudulot ng bagyong Ulysses sa lugar namin.
Kamusta ho ba yung water level dyan? Yan na ba bumababa o tumataas pa rin?
Sa ngayon, bumababa ng 2 linya. Ibig sabihin, umabot ito ng 22 meters. At ngayon, nasa 21.8 meters. Pero napakabagal ng pagbabang ito. Ed, dahil may ilang oras na rin na walang pag-ulan, pero mababa ang pagbaba ng tubig baha at yung Marikina River.
Ang sabi nga po nila, mas mataas ang inabot ng ilog ngayon kumpara doon sa Ondoy. Bakit po kaya?
Ang Ondoy, 21.5 meters. Ito ay 22 meters. Mas mataas ng kalahating metro. Nung tinitingnan ko yung data analytics ng rainfall reading nangyayari dito sa Marikina at yung rainfall reading na meron tayo sa mga kabundukan na kapaligid sa Marikina, ipo-project natin based on the data analytics na aabot ang pinakamataas na water level sa Marikina River ng 18 meters. Pero nitong alas 5 ng umaga, alas 6, umihina naman ang pagulan. Kung ihahambing ng nakaraang magdamag, ay mabilis naman tumaas ang ilog ng Marikina. Ibig sabihin, may pinanggaling na lugar yung tubig na dumating o Marikina River. Being Marikina, a downstream community.
Yes.
Nasa ibaba kami ng mga ibang komunidad na nasa upstream area ng Marikina River. Ito'y bine-verify namin. Ito yung isang bagay na aaminin ko na hindi natin na-factor in doon sa paghahanda. Tulad kung may mga dam o retention dam na nagpakawala ng tubig o kaya ay merong mga nag-spill over na dam, yung mga tubig na yan ay aagos at dadaloy dito sa Marikina River at magdagdag na tubig baha para sa amin.
Yes, sir. Sir, pero ang sabi nga po ng NDRRMC, nagpakawala nga yung mga dams ng tubig. Do we know if itong nangyari sa Marikina was directly a result of that? And if it was, were you informed about it?
I must admit, Ed, candidly, na walang impormasyon o wala man guidance kaming natanggap tungkol sa administration na isa ng mga dam natin pagdating sa bagay na ito. Siguro ito yung isang area na kailangan natin ma-improve, lalo na doon sa mga namamahala ng dam natin o water resource management natin, na dapat maunawaan nila anumang tubig na pakakawalan nila
May epekto.
ay magdudulot ng baha doon sa mga downstream community. Naapektuhan kami, hindi lang sociologically ng baha.
Nako, naputol si Mayor. Okay, but point of interest sa usapan natin ni Mayor, sabi nga niya, maaring nanggaling dun sa mga dams yung tubig na umapaw dyan sa Marikina area at they were not informed daw by dam administrators of any releases prior to what happened early this morning. So let's try to get back to Mayor Marcy in a while because that may be a point of learning for the next typhoons. Let's now check in again. Do we go to Bulacan? Let's now check in again. Doon sa Bulacan naman, where some of the water reservoirs are located. Provincial Governor Daniel Fernando is now joining us over the phone to give us some updates. Good afternoon, Governor.
Yes, boss. Magandang hapon po sa kanila at buti na lang medyo maganda na yung panahon.
Opo.
Pero pangit pa rin yung sitwasyon.
Kamusta po sa inyong probinsya? Kasi alam ko sa inyong probinsya marami ring mga bayan kung saan kahit walang bagyo mataas ang tubig lalo ngayong may bagyo.
Yung sinasabi mo na kahit walang bagyo ay mataas ang tubig yung part na nasa lugar ng mga nag-high tide like
Opo.
yung Kalumpit
Hagonoy.
and Hagonoy, Malolos, part of Malolos. So yun yung mga walang bagyo na dumarating, nag-high tide at nagkakaroon ng tubig. Pero ngayon, majority ng mga lugar sa amin ay talagang binaha. So yun, nakikita ko San Miguel, Balagtas, Marilao, masalamin yung Marilao, mataas ngayon Bukawe, itong Ubando, Angat, Norsagaray, Pandi, Santa Maria. Yun, at talagang mga binaha ito ngayon, itong mga lugar na to. And actually, ngayon ay as of kaninang alas 6 ng umaga, ng ating mga evacuees ay bumilang lang ng 300. Yung pamilya, 700 yung 700 yung individuals. But nung bandang alas 2 ay naging 4,000 families. Tapos 14,000 individuals. But right now, as of alas 3, ay 5,000 na. 5,814 yung evacuees natin and individuals ay 18,546. At ang sitwasyon natin ngayon sa mga baha naman, doon sa may bandang San Ildefonso, San Miguel, and part of San Rafael, most especially the low-lying areas, ay talagang mataas dahil yun yung mga flash flood eh. Galing ito ng Pulo Dam na umapaw, and then yung Mount Mamalmon na galing doon sa may DRT, sa may bundok ng Mount Mamalmon. Yun. So
Doon niya remedios sinunod.
nagsabay na. Tapos ito namang part ng baha dito sa may bandang Balagtas, Bukawi, was this may Kawayan and Marilao and San Jose del Monte ay galing naman ito sa bundok ng San Jose del Monte, which is the Sierra Madre.
Opo.
So, napakalakas ng flash flood na dumating, and hindi natin in-expect ito na ganyang kalakas yung tubig na dala ng Ulysses.
Opo. Gov, if I may break in, Gov, do we know kung itong mga pagbaha ay may kinalaman dun sa pag-release ng tubig ng ilang mga dam dun sa inyong lugar?
I would like to stand correctly. I would like to correct. Kanina kasi, interview ko isa, medyo nagkaroon ako ng overlap narito ako kanina sa mga tanong kasi.
Okay.
So, kukorek ko lang. Itong mga dam natin, okay, itong Angat Dam, kanina umaga-umaga, nagpakawala sila ng 500 CMS, on and off, 6, 5, gano'n. At kanina ng mga bandang alauna, nagpakawala na ng 2,500 CMS. Pero nung kanina, ang maga-maga, nung mga bandang 6 o'clock, nahawakan pa ito ng Bustos Dam eh. Pinakawala ng Ipo, kasi nagpakawala ang Angat, baba sa Ipo, nagpakawala ang Ipo, baba sa Bustos. So sinabayan pa ng Bayapas Dam, na-hold pa yung kanina eh. Pero biglang dumakas, yun na, dumami yung tubig. Kaya hindi na na-hold. And inadalayan na yung rubber gates natin kasi yung rubber gates kung matatandaan mo, kung alam mo pare, di ba, nasira yung rubber gate number 5. Di ba, yung rubber bladder natin number 5. Gate number 5. So 6 na gates kasi yan eh. So binuksan niya ngayon para pakawalan, it's 1, 2, 3 according to PDL mo. Hindi na talaga ma-hold. Kasi nga, ang inalalayan dito, baka mabulagnos kasi itong
Opo,
itong rubber gates natin kasi pag nasira ito, mas malaking baha.
Well, Gob, we understand naman po, kailangan pong unahan na hindi bumigay yung mga infrastruktura, kundi mas malaking problema.
Pinapakawalan, pero pagka talagang malaki na yung volume, yung mga dam operator naman natin ay alam naman nila na gano'n ang dapat gawin para hindi masira yung ating mga gates. Dahil pag nasira ang gates,
mas malaking problema.
Malaking baha ang mangyayari. Malaking problema ito, pare.
Opo. Pero Gob, mas ang tanong ko actually is, given naman po na kailangan talaga mag-release kung masyado na mataas ang level o kaya malaki na ang pressure masyado.
Given naman yun. Given naman talaga yun. Kaya lang siyempre, huwag naman pabigla-bigla kasi pag binigla mo yan, malaking damage ang mangyayari. Pero ito, ito, I would like to correct nga talaga na kasi sinabi tanong na ito Bukawi ay bigla kasi tumaas ang boss biglang tumaas ang tubig ng Bukawi na hindi naman kaya iba papasok na halos sa bahay na hindi naman nangyari noon, kaya naman tumaas yan dahil sa flashlight, hindi sa tubig ng Angat. Gusto ko na i-correct. Hindi galing ng Angat Dam yung Bustos Dam yung tubig dyan sa may bandang Bukawi. And Balagtas. Galing po yan sa kabundukan ng San Jose del Monte, yung flash flood natin.
Okay.
Yun, kaya kasi naghihiwalay na halos yan eh. Pagbaba kasi ng tubig galing ng kabundukan ng San Jose del Monte, pupunta ng Marilao, Kawayan, hindi pupunta ng Santa Maria, kaya pati Santa Maria, may mga tubig na rin yun, boss. Yun. Kaya gusto ko na i-collect na yun nga, yung galing ng Bukawi, galing po pala galing po yan ng gusto ko na i-correct ng plastic po. Galing po sa bundok na hindi po galing ng Angat Dam, po. So yun, ang Angat Dam, ito naman ay sa may Bustos Dam. Pag pinakawan nito, ipapasok din sa may Yan, Plaridel, pupunta dyan.
Well, Gob, sa huli po, Gob, ang importante siguro lang naman sa huli, ma-inform na maigay yung mga LGUs at yung mga komunidad downstream kung sakali magre-release ng tubig. May sapat na koordinasyon at sapat na oras na ma-inform yung mga tao.
Well, ito naman, sa atin sa PDRMO, i-inform naman kami. Pero sinabi na namin noon pa yan. Noon pa yan na sinasabi na namin na huwag pabigla-bigla yung pagpapakawala. Dahil, ano tawag dito? Dahil mahirap pagka yung pabigla-bigla dahil sasabayan na nga ng pagpaparelease ng dam, sasabayan pa yung flash flood, sabay pa itong high tide, edi wala na. Yun
Okay.
na, magkakaroon ng problema pagka nagkataon.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Governor Daniel Fernando ng Bulacan. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us. As of 12 noon today, almost 2 million Meralco customers are or have been left without power. Spokesman Joe Zaldariaga is on the line to give us the updates. Sir Joe, kamusta po yung ating kuryente dun sa mga apektadong area?
Hi Ed, magandang hapon sa iyo at sa inyong mga tagapakinig at tagapanood. Ed, medyo talagang naapektuhan tayo nitong bagyong si Ulysses. Tama ka, no? As of 12 noon, actually around 1.9 million itong mga customers natin are still without electricity. Actually, nung kasagsagan at around 5 a.m., that number was at 3.8 million. So, kalahati na ibalik na natin from 5 a.m. to 12 noon in around that 7-hour span, kalahati na ibalik na. Pero marami pa rin tayong kailangan bunuin. At ang affected areas actually is our entire franchise. It seems doon talaga na nalasa itong bagyong Ulysses, kaya naapektuhan Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Rizal, Laguna, Quezon Province. So yun, ang mga areas na...
Yes, sir. Sir Joe, if I may just ask, yung natitirang 1.9 million na subscribers ng Meralco na wala pa rin kuryente, most of these po ba ay dahil bumagsak yung infrastruktura, power lines or posts, o dahil kailangan patayin yung kuryente dahil delikado yung sitwasyon kanina?
Halo-halo ito, Ed, no? Merong mga lugar na talagang bumaksak yung linya, naapektuhan yung transformer, meron kami mga posting tumagilid. At the same time, ito, Ed, yung gusto ko rin i-emphasize, marami sa mga areas flooded. So, hindi kami pwede mag-restore ng serbisyo ng kuryente pag mataas yung tubig ba.
Opo.
Kasi delikado. So, kailangan namin hintayin humupa yan bago kami makapag-restore. Pero yung mga tauhan natin, yung mga engineers natin sa System Control Center, meron din kami yung tinatawag na technical term namin, outage map. Aware kami dun sa mga areas na walang kuryente. And ang protocol namin dyan, inuuna namin by circuits, no? By main lines. Kasi pag yun ang inuna mo, mas marami kang lugar na nabibigyan ng serbisyo ng kuryente. After nung circuits, titingnan namin kung merong mga areas na lateral lines na sira o damaged at saka naman natin susuyurin yun hanggang down to the house-to-house level.
Yes, sir. Well, of course, we understand naman you cannot turn on the power pag mataas pa yung tubig kasi yung ibang tao ginagawang sampayan yung mga yung mga linya ng Meralco pag mataas talaga yung tubig eh.
Yes, at saka talagang lubhang delikado, Ed. Mas mabuti na safe tayong lahat kesa safe, lalo na yung mga nandoon sa flooded areas, no? Marami din lumikas na. So, better to err on the side of safety always.
Sir, doon sa 1.9 million po more or less, do we have an idea kung ano yung concentration ito, kung anong lugar ang mga concentrations?
Mostly Metro Manila, Ed. Metro Manila, ang nakita ko kanina, no? Metro Manila, tapos Cavite, Rizal, Bulacan. Yun yung mga nakita kong karamihan.
Tapos po, it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon already. Do you think by nightfall, a big part of that 1.9 million will get their power back or it's still up in the air?
Well, internal target, ano, meron naman tayong mga internal targets. Hopefully, we can shave off half of that. Sana, no? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Sana may ma-shave tayo na mga around half of that by same time tomorrow. So kung 1.940 tayo as of 12 noon, sana by tonight, malaki-laki mabawas. Tapos sana below 1 million na yung matitira na lang hopefully by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, and of course, safety is the primary concern. Maraming salamat po, Meralco spokesman Josel Dariaga. Ingat po tayo dyan. Floodwaters have reached the second floor of some houses in Barangay Tatalon in Quezon City. Let's get the latest on the ground with Ria Fernandez, who is joining us live from Quezon City. Ria, tell us the situation there. Well, we may need to bring Ria back in a little bit. She's still getting ready and we have some technical problems. Okay, we'll be back with more stories after the break, so keep it here on One News.
Sige sir, patawag ko si Ria.
Ria Fernandez. Ria Fernandez. Ria Fernandez.
Yes, Bok.
Ano, Bok? Saan ka, Arneta?
Yes, Bok. Can you
You're still watching our special coverage on Typhoon Ulysses. I'm Ed Lingao. Floodwaters have reached the second floor of some houses in Barangay Tatalon, Quezon City. Let's get the latest on the ground with Ria Fernandez, joining us live from Quezon City. Ria, what's the situation there?
Hi, Bok. As of this moment, we are here at the Araneta Avenue here in Barangay Tatalon. Earlier, the flood water here has reached up to the waist level, but then we observed that after a few hours, the flood water has already slowly subsiding. And But there are still some parts here in Araneta Avenue that are still hard to be passed by big vehicles like these trucks. Kanina may nakita tayo na isang truck na nahirapang makatawid at tumirik na sa kalagitnaan nitong Araneta Avenue, Bok.
Well, Ria, madalas may napipinsala dyan sa erang yan dahil dun sa mga baha. Kasi may sapa dyan sa bandang Araneta Avenue eh. Kamusta ngayon? Wala naman tayong problema ngayon na wala naman tayong casualties today.
Tinanong natin yung mga barangay official mula sa magkakalapit na barangay dito, no, yung Barangay Rojas, Barangay Tatalon, with regards to the casualties. So far, doon sa ating nakuhang data, wala pa naman daw silang monitor. And ang sinasabi rin ng mga residente, kung ikukumpara daw kasi nila ito with the Typhoon Ondoy, medyo malayo daw ang diferensya. Although, hindi nila ina-expect na ganun karaming tubig baha ang aabutin nila pagdating ng umaga kanina.
Okay, are people back to their homes or are they still in evacuation centers?
Some refuse to go to evacuation centers, but for one here in Barangay Tatalon, the officials of the village is implementing forced evacuation already because they are on red alert. So, yun ang panawagan nila sa ating mga kababayan dito, no, na lumikas na dahil kahit na sinasabi nga ng mga residente na mukhang tumila na ang ulan, ay hindi pa rin yung kasiguruhan. At mas mabuti na rin na nandun sila sa itinalagang evacuation center. If they're apprehensive of going to the evacuation center because of the threat of COVID-19, our barangay officials here assured that there are safety protocols in place para hindi nga magkaroon ng hawaan sa posibleng COVID-19 virus threat. Bok?
Okay, Ria Fernandez reporting live from Barangay Tatalon in Quezon City. Let's get back to the situation over in Marikina City where rescue operations have been non-stop as floods submerge areas near the river. And to give us an update, Mian Los Baños is joining us live from Marikina. Mian, kamusta ang rescue operations?
Oo, Bok, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Bok, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung rescue operations dito sa may Marikina. Pero ang good news ay bumaba na yung tubig dito sa kahabaan nitong papunta doon sa bridge kung saan matatanaw natin si Marikit. Medyo bumaba na yung tubig pero gaya ng nasabi ko kanina, ang kalaban nila dito yung ragasa ng tubig. Maraming tao na nasa labas, nakikita ko ngayon. Medyo nandun na kasi kami, wala na ako sa harap ng Provident. Medyo nandito na kami sa medyo mataas na lugar. Nag-aabang yung mga tao at humihiling doon sa mga rescuer na kung pwede yung kanilang mga kaanak naman daw ang isunod na i-rescue. Bok, may mga nakausap ako kanina lang, yung mga huling na rescue, yung mga patuloy na nire-rescue, sinasabi nila kaninang madaling araw pa raw sila nagpapa-rescue at iba sa kanila, putikan, talagang basang-basa, yung mga bata, merong mga may sakit, pero yun nga, sadly, Bok, sabi nga ni Mayor Chodoro, hindi nila kinakaya talaga yung pag-rescue ng ganito karaming tao, so humihiling nga sila sa national government kung pwede tulungan na sila sa pag-rescue. Kanina parang may amphibian na ako na nakita na pumasok dahil kailangan na talaga na ma-augment yung pagre-rescue dito sa Marikina sa mga oras na ito. Lalo't papalubog na yung araw o papagabi na at wala na rin halos sa ulan. Medyo ambon na lang itong nakikita ko dito, Bok.
Do we have any idea kung ilan pang tao ang kailangang ma-rescue dyan sa lugar na yan? Kahit rough estimate?
No, I don't have an idea, Bok, kasi tinatanong ko rin kahit yung LGU, kahit yung mga police, dito wala silang idea. Ang ginagawa lang talaga nila, pasok yung rubber boat, kuha ng mga tao, balik ulit doon hanggang sa makakaya nila. And kanina nga, nakikipagkwentuhan tayo na sila mga rescuer, wala pa raw talaga silang kain mula kaninang umaga, pero talagang tuloy-tuloy kasi nga kawawa rin talaga yung mga kapatid natin na kanina pa. Yung isa nga nagrereklamo, sabi nila hindi raw sila pinapansin. But ang sabi naman ng mga nagre-rescue, hindi naman sa hindi pinapansin, inuuna lang talaga nila yung pinaka mga delikadong lugar. Pero pag pumasok ka kasi ng Providence Book, parang wala namang hindi delikado parang lahat naman talaga doon talagang lubog naman sa baha. Pataasan na lang kumbaga ng bahay. Kung mas mataas yung bahay mo, medyo mas ikaw yung hindi masyadong kailangan ng pagre-rescue kasi kaya mo pa. Pero yung mabababang bahay talaga at nasa bubong na, yun ang inuunang i-rescue, Bok.
Paano yun? Mano-mano yung rescue dyan? So mga rubber boats, nagsasagwan lang yung mga tao?
Correct. nagsasagwan yung mga pulis, nakikita ko, and then may rope, kung
Tapos,
medyo malayo, kay tulad ng ginawa kanina ng Rescue 5, tatapunan ng rope para sa alalayan yung tao papunta doon sa rescue, doon sa rubber boat. Pero kailangan talaga may mag-alalay sa kanila kasi malakas yung current. Hindi nila kakayanin na sila lang mismo yung lalapit doon sa rubber boat, Bok.
Oh, ito nga nakikita ko yung video ninyo yung mga rescuer kumakapit pa doon sa kawad ng kuryente.
Yes, correct. Kasi yan yung I think medyo kaninang malakas-lakas ang ulan yan Kasi talagang buti na lang wala na rin namang kuryente. So safe nang hawakan yung kawad ng kuryente. Wala ka na rin naman kasi nang mahawakan. So sila na lang or mag-swim sila. Bababa sila, lalanguyin nila, pupuntahan nila ngayon yung re-rescue nila. Noon nang tinanong ko yung isang pulis na lumalangoy kung gaano kalalim, sabi niya 2 tao higit. Sabi niya, yung taas ng tubig sa kanyang pag-i-estimate.
Okay. Mayan, i-situate mo sarili mo. Saan kayo ngayon more or less? Nasa loob na kayo ng Provident Village?
No. Lumabas na kami ng Provident Village. Nasa may... ito yung papunta na ng bridge papunta kay Marikit. Nakalimutan ko yung pangalan po kung nasaan kami. But basically, nasa labas na kami ng Provident Village dahil kailangan ko bumalik lang sa crew book para magsulat. Pero ang napapansin ko ngayon yung mga tao, aligaga sila, wala sila sa loob ng kanilang mga bahay. Mamaya siguro mapi-feed ko yung video. Mga tao nasa kalsada, Bok, Talagang ang daming tao sa kalsada. Lahat sila nakaabang lang doon sa mga nire-rescue. Yung some of them kumukuha ng video. And then mga pulis at mga pulis ito at mga taga-LGU yung nandito, pinapatabi yung mga tao kasi kung hindi, nasa gitna sila ng kalsada at talagang nakaabang lang doon sa mga nire-rescue mga kapatid natin dito.
Well, just to situate yung mga tao na baka hindi masyadong familiar doon sa Marikina at saka doon sa Provident Village. Yung Provident Village kasi is located sa bend ng Marikina River. Dahil nga nasa bend siya ng Marikina River, kung malakas yung agos sa Marikina River, natural umuuka yung ilog doon sa lupa at doon umaapaw. So kaya parating tinatamaan itong Provident Village kasi saktong-sakto siya doon sa pagliko ng Marikina River. Kaya doon madalas tinatamaan. Ito rin nangyari ng Ondoy.
Habaan ako ng Bonifacio, pag dinerecho mo ito, pag kanan mo, tama ka, Provident Village. Kaya malakas ang current ngayon kasi tama ka, doon papunta ngayon yung tubig baha na pababa na. Kasi nandoon nga sila nakasituate, malapit sila sa ilog. So, tama ka, kung nakikita mo, hindi lang sa kawad ng kuryente. Ngayon kasi, hindi mo na mahawakan yung kawad ng kuryente. Mataas na kasi mababa na yung tubig. Pero meron silang matibay na mga lubid na hinahawakan yung ating mga rescuer to make sure na madadala doon sa pinakabungad ng Provident Village yung mga rubber boats or else pabalik ng Provident Village kasi nga sa lakas ng current. So yun ang inaabangan nila kaya maraming nakaabang doon sa bungad nitong Provident Village po.
Okay, maraming salamat. Mayan Los Baños reporting live from Marikina City. Let's get more updates on the typhoon from Charles Lejano. He's monitoring the updates on social media via CrowdTangle. Charles.
We're still watching CrowdTangle. At the same time, we're monitoring social media via Twitter. Right now, we have the Philippine Star Twitter saying that the Philippine Coast Guard has actually prepared to deploy additional rescue teams to help the families trapped in Marikina. As mentioned earlier in the report, Provident Village in Marikina very much affected by Ulysses. Now, another tweet from the Philippine Star says, while thousands of Filipino families were severely affected by the rains and floods, the President Duterte said he wants to be seen by the people and to also go swimming. Of course, this was from the President's address earlier today where he said that he was discouraged from actually going to the front lines. But then let's move on over to CrowdTangle here where we see the Philippine Information Agency. Indeed, this is consistent with what was reported earlier. They are sending additional staff and personnel to Provident Village in Marikina where they're currently conducting rescue operations. And as we also look at the Presidential Communications Office, we see here, accompanied by Senator Bongo, the President is conducting an aerial inspection of typhoon-hit areas, particularly Marikina and Rizal Province. Other noteworthy items here are the notes from News 5, wherein the President said that hindi niya pababayaan ang ating bansa. No? Although, interestingly enough, when he was responding to criticisms, yung tinatawag na nasaan ang Pangulo, he said that the government had already prepared in advance. And you can catch all of this on the Facebook page of One News, where we can continue to monitor the updates for Ulysses. Back to you, Ed.
Okay, maraming salamat, Charles Lejano. We will be back with more stories after the break, so keep it here on One News. still watching our special coverage on Typhoon Ulysses. I'm Ed Lingao. Casualties in Camarines Norte have reached 3 while more missing persons have been reported. Marian Enriquez joins us over the phone for the details. Man, kamusta dyan?
Bog, tama ka, 3 na nga yung naitala nga patay ng Camarines Norte, PDRRMO. At yung isa nga dyan, yung una na nating napaiulat sa Daet, yung 68-year-old na kuryente. At yung nadagdag sa kanilang bilang ay yung 2 taga-Labo na si Sir Federico na 47-year-old na nalunod. At meron tayong isang 4-year-old na bata nga na aksidente naman sa landslide. Ngayon, 5 naman yung missing persons dito sa Camarines Norte. At yun nga, 3 pa rin doon yung fishermen mula sa Visons at yung isa sa Mercedes at isa rin sa Labo. Bok ngayon, lubog pa rin yung 68 mga barangay dito sa Camarines Norte at lahat nga yan sa 12 munisipyo. At ngayon, inatinataya nga nila na nasa 37.2 million yung pinsala nga sa kanilang agrikultura. Nananawagan din, Bok, yung kanilang provincial government, ang PDRRMO, na talaga na mga yung tulong lalo na sa pagkain dahil yung kanilang naiwan dito pagkain na lang ay hanggang pang 2 days na lang at marami pa po yung nandun sa evacuation center. Nasa 23,600 mahigit yung mga nandun pa sa evacuation center at syempre yung mga naiwan dun sa mga bahay na lubog pa rin ngayon sa baha. Bok.
Okay, Bok, so 3 yung patay. Meron pa bang missing na mga tao?
Yes, Bok. 5 yung missing persons ngayon at 3 doon mula sa Vinsons, isa mula sa Mercedes at isa mula naman din sa Laob. Pero kasi, Bok, yung sa Labo, talagang sila daw yung isa sa pinaka nasalantang barangay o komunidad, pati din doon sa Vinsons kung saan tayo na-stranded nga yesterday. Talagang pinaka nasalanta sila dahil doon din nga sa Labo River. Umapaw to dahil doon sa lakas ng ulan at yung hangin na dala nga ng bagyong Ulysses.
Okay, doon sa video mo mukhang sumisilip na yung araw kanina. I mean, meron ng langit o kalangitan. So, hindi na ba umuulan diyan ngayon?
Tama ka, Bok. Hindi na maulan dito. Kanina pag gising natin nung mga umaga, dire-diretso na yan. Sumikat na yung araw, ang init na, tinanggal na namin nga yung jacket, pinagpapawisan na kami dito. Kanina medyo hinahangin-hangin, pero hindi na katulad ng dati. Parang yung hangin dito, tolerable na siya.
Okay.
Kumbaga.
Tapos yung mga nakaharang sa kalsada, mga poste at puno, nakiklear na ba? Nakakadaan na ba kayo o nakaipit pa rin kayo dyan sa lugar ninyo?
Nakalabas na kami doon sa barangay Ginakutan at nakaladaan na rin kami doon sa National Road. Ang nangyari pala, Bok, as early as 5 a.m. talagang clear na nila yung National Road kasi ang lalaki ng mga punong nagbagsakan doon sa National Road at yun nga, passable na lahat. Pero yun na lang ang problema, yung may mga poste dyan sa mga barangay at yung mismong mga nalubog sa baha.
Okay. Kamusta naman yung cameraman na si Albert Celda na tinamaan ng lumilipad na yero kagabi?
Ayun, sakto kasi kagagaling lang din namin sa Kapitolyo at naampatan na rin siya, na-check na siya doon ng nurse na nakausap natin kanina. At ito, pupunta kami ngayon doon sa hotel natin kung saan pwedeng magpahinga muna si Kuya Albert. So far, okay naman. Hindi naman daw kailangan stitch. Namamaga na lang talaga ngayon yung kanyang sugat and yung tamama sa kanyang malaking bubong ng yero and pati yung mismong camera. Bok.
Okay. Maraming salamat. Marian Enriquez reporting from Camarines Norte. Let's now bring in Gerard de la Peña, who is at the Barangka Elementary School in Marikina to tell us the latest situation in the evacuation centers there. Gerard, kamusta dyan?
Well, Bok, Barangka Elementary School here in Marikina is being used as evacuation center, and at this point, it has already exceeded its capacity. As of last count, there are 448 individuals or 108 families seeking refuge here. Barangka is relatively high, and residents here don't really need to evacuate. So the evacuees here are from Provident and Santo Niño, as well as those from Tumana. A barangay official here said that they have prepared for this disaster, having prepared lifeboats as well as this school as evacuation center. But they never expected that flood waters would rise that fast, where the water level at the Marikina River reached 22 meters, higher than the 21 meters recorded when Tropical Storm Ondoy hit the city in 2009. One evacuee here who lived by the riverside said floodwaters reached the second floor of her house and that she was lucky to have been rescued by the city's rescue team. Another evacuee here from Tumana said that the strong current of the river brought her here, but unfortunately she lost her 2-year-old son. She has also yet to find her husband. Floodwaters at the river banks are rising due to intermittent rains. Both here at the evacuation center, evacuees keep coming in, but officials here said tents will be set up at the gymnasium to provide more space for more evacuees.
Bok, how are they able to maintain social distancing dyan sa evacuation center?
Well, both officials here, especially the principal of this school, admitted that it's quite a challenge right now to implement the social distancing protocols. We're seeing a lot of evacuees who are not even wearing face masks, and a lot of them are in groups in certain corners of this school. But the principal reason not that these people are actually living in just one house, so they're used to not having face masks, and they are used to be clump together. So they're still trying to implement the physical distancing protocols here, but at this point, it's quite a challenge for them.
Okay, that was Jared de la Peña reporting live from Barangka Elementary School in Marikina City. Several airports in the country have resumed operations following the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses. These include airports in Virac, Naga, and Legazpi in the Bicol region. No significant damage was reported in these facilities. Homalig, Mamburao, Marinduque, San Jose, Pinamalayan, Wasig, Romblon, Subic Bay, Iba, Baler, Calapan, and Lubang airports also did not sustain any damage, but no word yet as to whether they have resumed their operations. Plaridel Airport in Bulacan and Sangli Airport in Cavite sustained flooding overnight, while Busuanga Airport in Palawan is operational. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News.